With otherworldly views, breathtaking rock formations, and more lighthouses than any other state in the country, the Oregon coast may be the most stunning coastline in the world. We are taking you with us on an Oregon Central Coast road trip from the sand dunes of Florence to the kite capital of the world, Lincoln City. Our road trip starts in Florence, a logging and fishing town turned stomping grounds for beach lovers, seafood junkies, and adventure freaks. In fact, the biggest stretch of coastal sand dunes in all of North America is in Florence. So if you need somewhere to bust out your ATV or side-by-side, this 42 miles of coastal off-roading paradise should do the trick. If you're into charming coastal towns, historic Old Town Florence is worth a visit. Here you can check out the Siuslaw Drawbridge. It was built in 1936, but seems to be holding up just fine. The boardwalk and harbor are lined with quaint shops, public art, historic buildings, and of course, plenty of options for seafood. Leela ate at this floating restaurant stocked with the day's fresh catch. She claims it was excellent, but I don't believe her since all seafood tastes like, seafood. Word of warning, don't bring the RV to historic Old Town. We almost got stuck as we passed this sign going under a bridge towing 38 feet of toy hauler. We barely made the U-turn. Historic Old Town is on the Siuslaw River. To get to the ocean, go north a few minutes to Heceta Beach. It's a wide open, flat sandy beach with driftwood and not much else. Services are minimal, including a hotel and a little deli. We had no internet at our RV site, so I set up shop at Heceta Beach one day to work, was able to tether to my phone. The next stop you'll probably want to make going north up the coast is the Sea Lion Caves, where you can descend 200 feet in an elevator to the largest sea cave in the U.S. Because we were there in the fall, we were told that there may or may not be any sea lions in the cave, so we didn't take the tour. But we did find these guys
Oh my gosh!
just down the road.
By the way, it's $16 to go down the Sea Lion Caves.
If you're going to make only one stop on the central Oregon coast, you should probably visit one of the most photographed lighthouses on the west coast, the Heceta Head Lighthouse. Its light is the strongest on the Oregon coast. It can be seen from 21 miles offshore, limited only by the curvature of the earth, confounding flat earthers worldwide. Tours of the lighthouse are available, and you can actually stay at the lighthouse. The assistant lightkeeper's house has been turned into a bed and breakfast. Prices start at around $250 depending on the season and the room you book. The beach below the lighthouse alone is worth the trip. A stream flows into the ocean, creating an ideal spot for agate hunting.
What else?
Hagstone. Hagstone is gray and it's got holes in it and it's got mystical powers.
There are caves to the north below the lighthouse, an epic view of a bridge straight from a movie set, and this mysterious and massive inlet to the south that no one else seemed to notice. We risked our lives to experience it.
If we get stuck, all we have to do is scale that.
Because at high tide, you might not make it out. Ever. There are countless hiking trails along the coast, but this one we had to do. I mean, where else do you have a shot at seeing hobbits? This short walk to the beach is aptly named, with lush vegetation, root-infused paths, and trees that seem to speak to you. It feels alive. Early in the morning, the fog-shrouded beach was ours to enjoy alone. Strolling to the water, we found a whole sand dollar and a four-armed starfish.
There are secrets in the darkness.
2 miles north of the Heceta Head Lighthouse is the Washburne State Park, which is where we stayed during our road trip. This gorgeous park offers full hookups and some pretty awesome views out the back of the RV. There's a hiker-biker camp where you can get a space for like $8 a night. I'm learning that mushroom foraging is a big deal in Oregon, and for the first time we looked and wow, I had no idea.
It's a mystery. What our eyes can't see. It's a mystery.
A short hike from the RV park to the beach is the day use area. If you've never been to the beach in the fall, you've got to add it to your bucket list. The beaches are empty, and the season turns the shoreline into a misty fairy tale.
Secrets beyond what
Exploring the coast, you meet people from around the world.
I'm Braam. I flew in from Belgium. Right now I'm a bit stranded. I cycled from Vancouver to here. I'm trying to get some coffee in Florence, but that seems further off now. And then I'm gonna head down along the coast, San Francisco, down to LA, San Diego, and get some tacos in Tijuana.
Just north of Carl Washburn, we saw a pullout that looked interesting and found another virtually empty, epic beach just waiting for us to explore. And there's a reason the Oregon beach line remains so beautiful. In the 1960s, some hotels began blocking off sections of the beach for the exclusive use of their guests. This ultimately backfired and resulted in the passing of the Beach Bill in 1967, which essentially gave free public access to all 363 miles of the Oregon coastline. If you want a bird's eye view of the coast but don't have a drone, at 800 feet above sea level, Cape Perpetua is the highest ocean viewpoint accessible by car. And yes, it's totally worth the 2-mile drive up the mountain. Cape Perpetua includes the Cape Perpetua Marine Reserve, Oregon's largest, as well as a 22 square mile seabird protected area. It attracts endangered birds from as far away as New Zealand, Japan, and Antarctica because of the nutrient-rich seawater. Just 6 more miles up the coast is, well...
Called Yachats.
Wait, tell me. How do you say it?
Yachats,
It is Yachats.
right? Yachats?
Yachats.
Yachats. Yachaw.
It's actually Yachats, I think. Our first stop was the Drift Inn, which has some pretty great food.
I've been craving crab cakes lately.
I'm Gretchen. I'm the daughter of the owner, Linda. This place used to be quite the boys' club where people could just kind of come to find their friends and get into the boxing ring upstairs and beat it out of each other, I suppose, if they felt like it. It really is a magical place, and the Drift is one of those places that still contains a lot of the history and keeps making it.
If fossils, crystals, and gems are your jam, you might want to check out Sticks, Stones, and Bones, where you'll find
The largest piece of blue amber. It weighs 217 pounds.
another worthy stop in Yachats is Smelt Sands Beach, where humans have been smelt fishing for centuries. Here you'll find basalt columns, fascinating rock formations, and a glass Airbnb, which you can rent starting at $340 a night. Another few minutes up the highway, you'll run into Waldport, where the forest meets the sea. The Alsea River also meets the sea here, which created the need for the nearly 3,000-foot Alsea Bay Bridge. The town takes care of its own. The Green Bike Co-op rents bikes for free, and the Seashore Joy Garden offers free produce. It also happens to be the starting point if you're going to Tonga. Visit the local shops on the way to Driftwood Beach, where you can work on your agate hunting. Look, we found another hagstone. I wonder what mystical powers this one has. We weren't planning on pulling over in Seal Rock, but Leela saw a crop circle in the sand.
I'm Karen, otherwise known as Spinning Sands. I'm a sand artist here in Seal Rock, Oregon. I have actually severe PTSD and nothing was working, and raking is healing my very broken body. So I use an adjustable metal lawn rake, and I just start in the center and I just go. I call it the photobomb effect.
On our way to the Devil's Punch Bowl, we learned that the inhabitants of Otter Rock are very likely interdimensional time travelers because, when a couple sea caves collapsed, an instant tourist attraction was created. The Devil's Punch Bowl also attracts a lot of surfers and this photographer,
My name is Matt Crow, and my first time visiting the ocean in my life. I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
who probably has his own TARDIS.
This thing's actually pretty cool. I just came at a terrible time. It's low tide, it's overcast, it's late. If you want to see it cool, come at high tide when water's gushing in and out of there and when the sun's blasting through that hole back there. Then it'll be pretty. Right now it just kind of looks like that. I think the main Moe's is in Lincoln City. We're gonna eat there.
One of the most visited towns on the Oregon coast is Newport. We've been meaning to fly a kite for a while, so we came to this well-known kite shop. I wanted a big gnarly kite, so we ended up getting this one.
If it starts to swirl and loop back and forth and dive, that just means that there's too much wind and to bring it on down for the day.
The Oregon Coast Aquarium is one of the nation's top 10. I'd say this is the highlight. Jack Joyce, the founder of Rogue Brewery, was driving through Newport looking for a location for a second brew pub, where he met Mo Niemi, the founder of Moe's. Yeah, this Moe's. One of the conditions of the rental was that Jack agreed to hang this picture of Mo over the bar. Mo appears in every Rogue pub to this day. Rogue's main location in Newport has a decent restaurant and is one of the few places you can pee into a beer keg. If you hang a right after crossing Newport's own epic bridge, you'll end up on the bayfront where Newport started. You'll find all the usual cool stuff you find in a harbor, but more sea lions than you'd expect. We ate right here for our 25th wedding anniversary. Those sea lions are right behind it. Here's a secret no one knows but you now. Across the street we got our first tattoos. Sorry, Mom. And yeah, we're committed to this YouTube channel. A short jaunt further north takes you to Depoe Bay, home of the world's smallest navigable harbor. A navigable harbor is one that can take you to the ocean. You just go under this bridge. Depoe Bay is also great for whale watching from land or sea. You know that kite we got in Newport? Lincoln City is the place to fly it. Lincoln is also a haven for artists, and glass blowing is no exception. In fact, glass blowing is so popular at the Lincoln City Glass Center that you need an appointment days in advance. In the 1930s and 40s, glass floats from Japan would wash ashore. Decades later, it spawned an idea that eventually turned into finders keepers. Every day of the year, 9 float ferries hide glass floats made by local artisans along the 7 miles of Lincoln City coast, starting at around Mose and going north. The float ferries' identities are a city secret, and no one knows exactly when or where they hide the floats. If a ferry gets made, they're out. If you want to find a float, here are a few tips. They're only hidden during daylight hours between high tide and the shoreline. They're meant to be found, so hidden is used loosely. One local told us to look among the driftwood.
Look amongst the wood, they said.
If you find a float, you get to keep it, register it online, and learn about the artisan who created it. After hearing Mo's story, we had to pay her restaurant a visit. The food wasn't bad. To experience our all-time favorite stretch of the Oregon coast, you've got to click right here.